Shalom, welcome to Challenging Torah, project of the Malibu Jewish Center and Synagogue. This week, the Torah portion is Re'eh, which literally means to see. And so the portion begins, "See this day, I set before you blessing and curse. Blessing if you choose the commandments of the Lord your God that I enjoin upon you this day, and curse if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God. When the Lord brings you into the land that you are about to enter and possess, you shall pronounce the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Take care to observe the rules that I set before you this day." And Moses literally urges those who choose blessing to go to the mountain of blessing, and those who choose curse to go to the mountain of curse. There is no moral equivalency here. You're either on the mountain of blessing or the mountain of curse. Both mountains have existed for all time, and human beings have the moment when they can choose, as we are given the opportunity to choose our actions every day as we come to paths in the road. This week, Re'eh, I saw an incredible, like lemmings to the sea, rush over to the mountain of curse. I didn't believe it. Re'eh literally means open your eyes and see. Up until now, we've heard the word Shema through these Torah portions a great deal. If only you will listen. If only you will listen to my blessings. If only you will take heed before you enter. Ekev, last week, means to put your heels down. How you walk physically. It's all embodied in the body. How you will walk in my ways. Well, we had a fabulous Torah conversation about walking in God's ways. It was a wonderful morning last Shabbat. And I know I am dating this particular challenging Torah. And you know what? I hope you don't need to listen to it again. This is a onesie, as they say. But last week, we finished Ekev. I got into my car, filled with love for this community and our healing service and the ability we have to be here for each other, a great moment of Shabbos peace, and I blew it. I turned on the radio. Now we know not to do that, but my XM is set to CNN, flicked it, and it was the middle of Trump's speech in Charlottesville. Charlottesville? What are we talking about, Charlottesville? I didn't have a clue of what was going on. And I only heard this sort of equivalency thing about on both sides. I didn't know, was this a terrorist attack? I didn't know what had happened. I pulled my car into the driveway, ran in, turned on the TV, and saw, as we say in Re'eh, something that I thought I would never see in my lifetime. Nazis carrying flags, swastikas, shouting, "Take the country back from the Jews," marching openly through the streets, not even bothering, as the Ku Klux Klan did, to cover their faces. The raw anger on their faces as they marched. And within minutes, I saw a car plow in to protesters, and the young woman was killed. Wow. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. I actually felt immediately like I was Theodor Herzl in the Dreyfus trial. Theodor Herzl, who believed so strongly in liberty and fraternity and equality in France in the late 19th century. This was going to be the moment the Jews were totally assimilated and involved in this new world order. And he's in a trial where the guy is being framed because he's Jewish. He walks out and says the Zionist dream, basically. And within weeks, much has happened since then, but anti-Semitism, which has always been under the surface. And this is not the moment to discuss why anti-Semitism. But we know that it is a scapegoat process. Very, very interesting. Those marching in the streets of Charlottesville carrying those Nazi flags were not shouting against the blacks of Charlottesville. I mean, it's assumed we're going for slavery. They're not daring to say slaves, even though this is about a statue, in theory, about Robert E. Lee. No. What we heard out loud was take the country back from the Jews. The Jews control the media. I was stunned, as was most of America. Ra'eh, see. What is it that we see when we see the ugly face of racism and bigotry? It's been out there the whole time. We know that. And I've been watching police brutality and know about black young men in prisons. And I have stood together with my fellow Muslims. But it's not really about me, because I'm white. I have a college education. I'm free to be a woman rabbi in this country. My children are very successful. Wow. We're back to that, because it never really goes away. And so now what? And God says, when I bring you into this land, be careful. In this Torah portion, he says, you must follow my rules, or you must not act as we have until now, every person as he or she pleases. It is the law of the land that protects us, and it is through laws that our liberty is assured. And it's always, always a work in progress. So, here we are, and the week went on. It got worse, not better, as far as calls from the White House for moral equivalency, and there was no back down on it. And as a rabbi, I kept asking, where is the Jewish response? And I got it on my emails, and I did hear from people, and the movements kind of spoke up. But what about those people flanking Trump in the last debacle of standing there and doubling down on this moral equivalency? 2 Jews stood flanking him. I was reminded of the court Jews of Europe who thought that they would be safe, they would be fine. They were holding the finances. They left when the Jews were banished with everybody else. I am not saying the Jews will be banished from America, and I am not saying that America is an anti-Semitic country. I am saying this is a moment to see, be aware, ra'eh, and be careful. Choose the right mountain. And so I looked around, and I looked at the White House scene, and I said, Jared, where are you? Where are you hiding, Jared Kushner? Ivanka, this is a Purim story. This is the moment that you are supposed to be my Queen Esther and go in and say to the foolish king, my people are Jews. I need you to say something. There was a tweet. It was pretty silent. No. This is not going to be the Purim story that Queen Esther saves. Today, as I turned on the news driving here, I realized that Steve Bannon has been removed from his post. Perhaps not from the White House, but just from his post. He was doing a very good job in the Haman role. See, there are people, Haman says, who are different. Not really Americans, we would say. Knowing that manipulating the foolish king would serve him well. It's an old story. So, to be continued next week when we take on the portion that says Shoftim, justice, which has been called love in action. Justice, tzedek, tzedek tirdof. Justice, you shall pursue. 2,500 years ago, Moses stood on the mountain and gave you God's clear choice. You may choose life or choose death, choose blessing or choose curse. This is the moment to stand up, as it is true in every generation, and make the choice to stand on the mountain of blessing. May you have a Shabbat that is filled with both insights and rest. Amen.